Welcome to our March 2024 Energetic Tune-Up forecast. Thank you all for being here, and we will dive right into the energetic quality of March. I gotta say, during the tune-up, which was the actual experience, of these energies. So there's a phase that I go into before the energetic tune-up, and in that time, I see things, I feel things, the energies go through my body. And I often, just take notes, observe myself and, all the things, the visions, the dreams, the input that I get. And made it a discipline not to try and make sense of it, just let it come in, really just let it open up the channel and just let it come in. Okay, there's three different levels on which I experience this month. And I want to say that for those of you here listening to this right now, the experience is probably going to be different than for the majority of people. Yeah, so don't get me wrong here. I don't want to make you guys feel special or anything, but there are elements of March that are very, very beautiful, that are very empowering, that bring in so much more hope and yeah, I want to say resolve, so that the end of many of your old inner conflictions. And then on the other hand, the way this comes about is, well, through understanding your own shadow, through understanding your own, yeah, let's just call it darkness, the lower aspects of yourself. But when a person has trained that, when a person has a prepared mind for that, when a person has a stomach for that, in other words, when a person is not afraid of looking at themselves, then this is a really, really cool month for you. And I know that most of you here, that work with me in the Sacred Self-Healing community, in the Heart Warrior program, Energetic Training Club, Grace Soul Self Initiation, that you guys, you're veterans in this. Yeah, you may still dither once in a while and wobble and question yourself and all this. But especially the work that we've done in the last 3-4 months, where we really honed in on being truthful, being real with ourselves, and just basically aligning, adjusting ourselves to a more truthful and a more loving way of seeing ourselves. This is paying out now. So, yeah, interesting months. The last month I posted this quote, the wound is where the light enters you. Yeah, and it is, if we don't learn to let go of it, if we don't work with it, then it is also where the darkness enters us. Yeah, so that's really, really important now for all of us here moving forward, wanting to spiritually grow. Yeah? It's no longer about our wounds. It's no longer about our trauma. Yeah, it cannot be about that if we want to grow spiritually. We need to understand the purpose of those wounds, of that trauma, of our darkness, and the role it plays in our spiritual growth. That's what it means to align, to our higher self. Our higher self knows that. And therefore, when we have a solid sense of self and a solid sort of inner experience of our higher self, we don't need to know everything. We don't need to understand everything. We just need to have a solid sense for that. not sentimentalized, not fairy taled, not fantasized, not idealized, not projected in some way. Just that, like perhaps for many of you, even visceral feeling, visceral, like you can feel it in your bones. Then you can overcome the pain of the past. And it seems like, this sort of spiritual blah blah talk, and it can turn into that if we keep it separate. Yeah? The Course in Miracles is very good for understanding the deeper esoteric truths underneath that. Yeah? All miracles are equal. If I don't believe that a miracle is possible, then healing is not possible. The other way around. If I don't believe that healing is possible, then miracles aren't possible. Why? Because a miracle is a subjective experience of something that we could not imagine prior to it happening. Do you guys understand where I'm going with this? We cannot imagine what it feels like, to having overcome our trauma, our pain of the past until we do. And when we do, it feels like a miracle. And the more you get used to that, the more you recognize that this is how this works. It's like hacking life. Yeah? The more you look forward to overcoming the pain of the past, or to look at your shadow aspects, or to uncover untruths or self-deception. This is really, really powerful once we understand that. The miracle is not something that happens to us from the outside. The miracle is that we are shifting our perspective in a way that what pained us, or what confused us, or what scared us, simply doesn't scare us anymore. And that's why we often have this feeling that we've lived many different lives in one lifetime. Everybody who experiences spiritual growth will feel like as if you have lived different lives. Why is that? Because every time you transcend something, every time you overcome something, it's like a new life. Yeah, it's like a new beginning. And then the memory, including, the visual memory, the body memory, the pain memory of that dissipates. And the same happens on a deeper spiritual level, guys. It's really important to remember, that these laws in the universe, that we are, uncovering here in the course of our spiritual development, that they apply as above, so below. Yeah, in other words, whatever applies in the microscopic always also applies in the macroscopic. So remember that. Look at the small miracles in your life and understand that they are just as magnificent, or just as hard or easy, to accomplish as the bigger miracles. All miracles are equal. And that is because it's a shift into almost like a different dimension. And right now, here in March, we have a huge opportunity. And this is not because, there's some kind of outer forces doing something to us. No, it's just a weather condition. Okay? The weather condition is auspicious. And auspicious means that it's lining up to make it easier for us. Do you know what I mean? It's many of you call this like when things are in the flow or when you're in the zone or something like that. But that's not mystical. Yeah, there are seasonal, there are celestial, there are, you know, internal, yeah, conditions that some of which we can control ourselves, some of which we can't control. But there's these conditions that determine, the outer terrain and how much resistance we are experiencing. And right now, yeah, with these energies that are coming in, yeah, we will experience a empowerment, a reassurance. Yeah? And I called this here a spiritual new start. And it comes in through these deeper contemplations about the life and afterlife and what life and death means, and what all these themes that are typically come up in March: reconciliation, reincarnation, resurrection. These these themes that have sort of embedded themselves into our societies, through Easter, through spring or fall. And when we allow ourselves to go into this deeper contemplation, we can uncover something. The energies of March are exceptionally vibrant, especially in a spiritual sense. And this auspicious quality, will amplify our ongoing inner processes and questionings. It will bring up a new understanding of what is important in life. What is the value? What is the purpose? What is I guess, the goal of life? But not in a success way, but in a material success way, but in a way that we recognize that there is more than just this lifetime. There's an aftermath. So we can enter this conversation without fear. That this inner seeking can lead us to experiencing our higher self more consciously, and therefore help us finding new ways to become more authentic and embody our higher potential. Yeah, so embodying our higher potential, that's basically what it's all about. And the reason why this has to be such a conscious process for humans is because we have consciousness. This is the way consciousness develops. You cannot just give somebody consciousness. That would be an oxymoron. Yeah, like I said last month in our Sacred Self Healing workshop, you get the ego for free. Okay, that's your base level. Okay, that one you don't have to do anything for. But your consciousness, you have to develop. You have to earn it. You have to not earn as in deserve, but earn in like you got to do something for it. Yeah? So in March, we also have these seasonal and celestial themes that I mentioned, such as Easter, but also the equinox, and we have a powerful moon phase. Yeah, we have a lunar eclipse. Yeah, we have increasing solar flares. They're all sort of rhythmic and reoccurring. Yeah, as well as transformative planetary conjunctions. They all work together like a catalyst for this. So basically, we're supported by the stars right now, if you will. So with this energetic weather condition, we'll discover the pivotal role our connection with our higher self plays firsthand. The moment you connect with your higher self and seek guidance, it will be readily available. However, it also requires us to know when to slow down and how to master our overactive thinking and perpetual anxiousness. So meditation, energy sessions, energy clearing, and healing practices, all things that you guys engage with on a regular basis, will be necessary in the striving for inner clarity here. Yeah, so this information or this guidance that we seek, yeah, what would my higher self do? Yeah, it's very similar to our future self, by the way we learn this here in transCODES. Yeah, so transCODES and with these future self, past self, and higher self transmission modalities have prepared you for this many years ago. Yeah, namely that you recognize that your higher self is nothing but your future self. It's already there. You just got to tap into it. You can't do this if you constantly look into the rear mirror of your car. Yeah, if you look backwards, you can't do that. You have to be willing, yeah, to basically accept, yeah, that you will evolve. You will. On a long enough timeline, you all will. Yeah, with a very few exceptions, which we will probably get into this month, because when we have a constellation like this where we're being shown our higher potential, we will also be shown sort of the dark side, the flip side of the coin as well. So before I go into the readings and the more minute sort of energetic trajectories and momenta, I want to send a big message here up front. I want to let you know already what it is that you will have to focus on. Yes, the feeling that we just described, yeah, that you can recognize as the inner experience of your higher self through your heart. Yes, that's always at the center of everything. But because we are not alone in this experience, because we're not alone on this planet, in this world, in this dimension, okay, we also need to have good sleep. Yeah, this will be very important this month, yeah, for you to actually know how to step into this place within yourself where you allow, things to percolate. Yeah, where you allow things to cook, yeah, to come together. Yeah, so that's something that I want to send with you here up front. So as this collective field, yeah, the month of March presents an auspicious opportunity to bring forward deeper information stored within us all. It would also bring more clarity about how aligned you are with your higher goals. So this is something we talked about last month. We've got to align these things, okay? So we all have, sort of this idealized idea of, who we want to be and how we're going to do this. But not all of these quote unquote goals are really in alignment. Yeah, they aren't really higher if you think about it. Just having more money or having a bigger house or, having, a better relationship or those are all things that just refer to this lifetime. That's not a higher goal, guys. Yeah, it's important and it has to do with, your true needs and your true wants. Yeah, so that you can really tap into what is needed for you as, the right energetic condition to unfold your higher self, but it is not the goal itself. Yeah, if you focus or get possessed, by sort of certain material accomplishments or material physical security, okay, then you are driven by the wounds of the past. You are driven by your lower self, by the darker aspects of yourself. Yeah, and this is the part that we need to face. We need to look at that very clearly. How many of our daily decisions are actually based on, oh, not wanting to experience something, or being afraid of something, or, not knowing what to do. So I'm not being sarcastic about this. I say this with full compassion because I know what that inner dialogue sounds like. So in that, it presents an opportunity to reflect on and evaluate how coherent we are with what we want in life. Yeah, especially regarding our relationships and the expressions of our spiritual beliefs. Yeah, this is the next step. Yeah, and when I say relationships, of course, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, but those included. Yeah, so our alignment with our higher self also needs to reflect in the quality of our relationships, and that, as you know, it also includes the relationship with ourself. Yeah. So approaching this transformational time involves setting the conscious intention to gather this deeper information from a higher, yeah, the vantage point. The higher self is the higher vantage point. So while this information may not immediately make sense to you, what you pick up on this month will provide crucial signposts for your future. So yes, remember this. So in that regard, March is quite important, actually. I would strongly, strongly recommend all of you to journal this month. Those of you, which is almost all of you who are doing Heart Warrior with me, um, please fill out your dump. Now, I can tell you that, this Heart Warrior dump that we have, this form, where you self-reflect, is so helpful for your own clarity. Yeah, it's like a pre-sorting of things. So March serves as a time for recalibration and setting our compass toward healthy and or conducive. So healthy, I need to describe this a little more here. The healthy or conducive changes. So not all changes are healthy, guys. Not all changes are conducive. Okay, there are some that are very challenging that take a longer period of time for us to kind of translate. Yeah, and those are the ones that we want to pay attention to because uh, the karmic component here in March is also bringing in things that we have been dealing with for a long time. Yeah, at least 25, 30 years. Since the mid 90s. Those, yeah, if we could tackle those, that would be conducive. Yeah, because it means that this is where we've been leaking energy all along, no matter how hard we try. And then there's the other aspect with, what is considered to be healthy in our society, as many of you guys know, this is constantly being redefined. And, at the end of the day, with a good sort of self-reflection and observing your body, your mind, your emotions, you'll find that none of that is valid for you. Every body is different, every system, every energy body is different. You have to find what is healthy for you. What works for you. This is also part of spirituality. Your body, your form is divine. Overcoming the pain of, being in this material world, having this material experience does not mean to escape it or to just, let it sort of rot. It means to learn how to balance it, how to harmonize with it, how to integrate our spiritual self with our physical self. And therefore, what is considered to be healthy or conducive might be very different from what our societies at this very moment here in 2024 consider to be healthy. Yeah, so be aware that not everything that you are being made believe, yeah, is healthy for you. This is up to you. However, we also find that March energies are moving very fast, so they'll be even faster. Yeah, so if you guys thought January and February were fast, March is going even faster. Okay, and so there's something here. This came very clearly, in as a feeling, like literally, like sort of body feeling, in the tune-up here. We need patience. We need to learn to slow down. So when time moves fast, okay, this is of course just our subjective experience of time. But when it feels like time is moving fast, what is actually happening in you? It means that, you are sort of constantly feeling that you have to catch up. Yeah, you constantly sort of lagging behind a little bit. Okay. And so in the effort to control this or to catch up, we begin to speed up. Our ego does that, and that's a normal reaction. I find myself in that cycle every day. Yeah, where I go faster and faster and faster. And then what happens is that in actuality, I slow my own development down. Yeah, so the faster I go, the slower my internal processes become. And this is counterintuitive at first, yeah, because your ego just really tries to catch up. But what you need to learn here is to do the opposite. That it is in you slowing down, yeah, that you speed up your spiritual development, your spiritual connection. And this is one of the reasons why we need to, be patient. The other reason is relationships, is that we're not alone in this world. It's crucial to consider how our behaviors, our choices affect others and learn to express our intentions properly. Caution is advised against blurting out frustrations, as there's an aspect of hyper emotionality in March that can unnecessarily hurt feelings. Later, you will see that I'll mention something like domestic violence. So, this is a month where emotions can get out of hand. Yeah, that's why, slowing down, self regulating, meditating, sleeping well, all these things, those are very important. That's the 3D component. You, energies are awesome. Okay, but body and emotions and mind, um, a little bit on hyperdrive. So you're gonna have to learn to balance that. Yeah, and how does this come into expression? Through others. And it's coded into the energy alignment for this month that the higher expression of ourselves comes in through the mirror of the other. This is a very high vibratory code here in the higher self energy alignment. You can listen to it at the end of this forecast. Yeah. Pay attention to what that phrase does. It is ultimately how the divine wants to see itself in us. And this is best understood as sort of a parental kind of feeling where you look at your child, no matter how annoying or how, whatever, how many conflicts you have with your children, there is a perspective where you look at your child and really all you want is your child to succeed. You want your child to have, this optimal experience. And this comes from a deep, deep love within yourself. And while, parental love is also sort of instinctual to a degree in us humans, it comes from a higher love as well. And that is, yeah, like I said, best understood if you picture that this is how the divine looks at us. This is how Gaia feels for us. Yeah. The divine is building heaven on earth. Yeah. And earth is providing the nurturing, the life-giving elements that are needed, for us to grow, for us to evolve. Yeah, sort of the soul of the divine mother and divine father come together in this sort of parental understanding of your higher self. If feeling attacked, and you will feel attacked, some of you may have already felt this, it's already coming in, yeah, this sort of aggressive defensiveness, make an extra effort to stay calm, gather information first, feel into the truth of what is being presented, and then respond. Yeah, put in a few sort of check posts, like check points. Yeah, where you take it down a notch. Check in with your higher goals. Check in what you truly want. Look deeper. Yeah, everybody can have a bad day or can be frustrated and sort of use the wrong words to express things. You do too. Okay. So give yourself and others more space, more room for error, more leeway, if you will. Because if you can give others that leeway, if you can muster the willingness to understand others in that way, you will also be able to give that to yourself. But if you are rigid, if you are literal, if you are black and white, if you are defensive, you will forever judge yourself. You will forever hear this nasty, critical inner voice in your head, okay, that constantly criticizes you. Because in order to overcome this part, we already know how the critical inner voice, the negative inner self develops. Yeah, that's causation. We're no longer interested in causation. We need to do this at a certain part of our journey, just so that we understand, okay, this is part of what we have to contend with as humans. We have conditioning, we have programming, and we have all these negative experiences and so forth. Yeah, and we also have good experiences, and we have things that we aspire to, etc., and they have to come together. But if where you guys are at spiritually, okay, it can no longer be about that. Yeah, you need to make a conscious effort, yeah, to evaluate that. Is this really making me grow? What would my higher self do or say? So spiritually, it's time to open our inner perspective to the bigger picture. We'll gain deeper insights into karmic topics and begin to understand the significance of this time as a second chance, a second chance for reinventing ourselves and finding our spiritual identity. And here's where those key words reconciliation, resurrection, and reincarnation appear in parentheses, because those are themes that will come up, yeah, in conjunction with your spiritual identity. They have to come up. We have to answer these questions. Yeah, where did we come from? Where are we going? What happens after death? What is that process, and why, is resurrection such a big topic? What is the metaphor, the message here that Christ send, yeah, through this resurrection story? What is the significance of reconciliation, practicing that with yourself, and redeeming? Those are all words that you hear everywhere, but never really investigate. There is a huge spiritual, huge esoteric meaning behind these words, guys. And it is time for us to investigate this. There are many things that we take for granted, yeah, because we sort of intuitively understand them. But that's just like a spiritual child, like, oh yeah, that's good guys and that's the bad guys. Okay, without knowing why. It's time for us to better understand these things, to spiritually educate ourselves. Many of us will feel a pull into considering how our current lives might affect our spiritual afterlife, yeah, which is appropriate around Easter time, as it brings in the circle of life and death through nature. This deeper spiritual exploration through simultaneous introspection and spiritual education can help us better understand ourselves and our yearning for connection, yeah, our yearning for love. Wouldn't you want to understand this better? After all, it's the cause for most of our issues in life, guys. Yeah, all issues that we have derive around love and being loved. Are you aware of that? Yeah, so wouldn't you want to understand yourself a little better there? Let it show you the way to make peace with your past wounds, allowing for transformation and deeper connection with others. Also, your dreams, and this is where, the sleep comes in. You cannot have good dreams and visions if you are sleep deprived. Will be more vivid than usual. Well, you will have dreams when you're sleep deprived, but it's the other kind. Okay, you tune more into the lower sub-realms, okay, yeah, into the eighth sphere, and not so much into the higher realms, yeah, in the supernatural, where you want to connect with your higher self. Try to refrain from interpreting your inner guidance based on this lifetime only. Remember that you're a spirit being that is having an earthly experience. The true lessons of each lifetime appear to those who seek them. So, what happens to those who don't seek them? Well, excluding the spiritual perspective, on the other hand, can work against self-healing, as it lacks belief in the possibility of healing. Now, remember this: if you align yourself to the material only, and this includes this lifetime only, yeah, because every time you, or for as long as you only think of this lifetime, you are focusing on the material, no matter what you believe. Having a spiritual belief means that you recognize that there's a spirit being in you that is immortal, and therefore it cannot just be pertaining this life. There has to be an afterlife and a pre-life. Yeah, something like an in-between life, I guess, or something like an existence, okay, that is not material in nature. Yeah, just that's just the logic of it. So someone who excludes that, okay, also excludes the possibility of healing. Yeah, that healing is possible, and especially self-healing. And miracles, talked about this in the beginning. You can't expect miracles. You can't expect healing in your life if you are only focused on the material. That is not possible. In the material 3D, miracles aren't possible. But in the spiritual, they are basically the way things work in the spiritual. So living in alignment with the inner wisdom of our higher selves allows us to become the best version of ourselves and live a fulfilling life. When you exclude this spiritual connection, when you exclude, the wisdom that comes forward through investigating love and, where all this comes from and what this is actually prompting you to do, you cannot have a fulfilling life because that is the purpose of your life. Learning how to find truth, how to find love, how to find freedom, in this physical life, under these 3D conditions. So overall, March will teach us to enter our personal manifestation with confidence, with confidence, with the confidence that you know miracles are possible, that you know healing is possible, that you know your higher self is right there with you, while confronting your shadow, your self-deceptions, and stepping into a more active role in your evolutionary process. Now, collectively, and I said this in the beginning, that for you guys, March will be awesome for the most part. Apart from, the emotional triggers here and there. But you'll understand them and you'll be able to work with them. And therefore you can transcend them right away. But as for the majority of people on this planet, most of which are checked out, ignorant, or so materialized, and literal in their way of seeing life, that all they will feel is division, hatred. Here, the divisions between faiths, tribes, races, and genders. The everybody against everybody. And they'll have good reasons to see that. That's why it's important to understand that the spiritual process underneath all that. This emotional and cognitive divide may lead to increased war talk, fake fear scenarios, and apathy worldwide, posing a barrier. This is the barrier that I'm seeing there, that needs to be overcome. This barrier is a barrier that we're all struggling with. We feel this between our third and fourth chakra. We feel this, in the struggle between our ego and our true self. We feel this in our, confusions around discernment of truth. It gets harder and harder to access that part in us. Why? Because the conditions on our planet are such that through the war talk, through the fake fear stuff, through the apathy, through the this perpetual sort of bombardment with untruths. We get so confused that we don't know who we are anymore, where we're from and why we're here. And this barrier gets bigger and bigger. And this needs to be overcome. So as incarnated conscious souls, we cannot work with authenticity and embodiment and so forth in 3D without this spiritual investigation, without putting our spiritual beliefs into alignment with our material ego self. That's very important. We are at a point of our collective human development where dark forces can easily gain access to the consciousness of checked out souls. So the goal of our spiritual evolution is to take full ownership of ourselves. I've talked about this for many, many years. If we don't claim our soul self-identity, something or someone will. So keep this in mind. Yeah, as the main objective of dark forces is to distract us away from discovering our soul power, from discovering our true identity, from building this relationship with our higher self, from becoming our higher self. That is the agenda of dark forces and nothing else. Okay, nothing else. So, Jared's asking a question here. I didn't see this before. Sorry, Jared, for being so late in this. You asking about the apparitions in the sky. Yeah, so the apparitions in the sky, that's why I was so cryptical about this. They have to do with all the stuff that you see on social media and everything about UFOs and stuff. I don't like naming them UFOs. They are not UFOs. Okay, and yet there are apparitions in the sky, and not all of them are fake. So let's just leave it there. Those apparitions, okay, appearances, okay, they are real. Okay, they just don't mean, I guess, what people interpret them to be. Okay. Earthquakes, it's obvious, and this is going to continue, guys. It's going like the next 5 months at least, if not the next 5 years. But this is going to get worse. Yeah, and that speaking as an Icelander here, I'm expecting, and that to be very transformative for Iceland, especially. But the apparitions in the sky, so there's still a lot that we need to learn about this. But most of what you see in social media is all false narratives. It's all sort of this predictive linguistic programming of people to buy into the whole sort of UFO and dark side of the moon and Mars and those kind of storylines. Okay, we've covered those in the Sacred Self-Healing community in January, I think, December or something like that. So when there is new things that we need to look at, I will probably do another workshop for that discussion. Yeah, what these apparitions in the sky mean. So I'm not talking about astronomical things. I'm talking about things that people look at and it feels like, Jesus in the clouds or UFOs or something like that. But that said, there is a vision of something like that. I hope that answers the question. Annette is asking, how do you choose the pictures to the alignment? That's a cool question, Annette. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I do that in that mode. When I'm in that mode where I work with these energies for the coming months, I don't know. I don't. This is not my rational mind really that does that. I try to match up the feeling or what it is that I am seeing. I'm trying to find pictures that allow others to see it too. Does that make sense? And obviously, you know, I can't, I don't have the time to sit there and paint a picture, so I have to just kind of see what I can find. Like this is exactly how I saw it. No, it's a woman, and you know, it's obviously, you know, there's a dress and stuff like that, but that's not significant. Okay, that's just maybe because I'm a woman. Okay, and there's more pictures on the internet from women, you know, in that sort of spiritual kind of setting than there is from men. It's easier to find pictures like that. But yeah, no, I try to really align them with what I see and how I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same with this picture also. You know, they all have a meaning. Now this picture here is different. This is not my quote. This is from somebody else, and that is just the picture that they have chosen.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, but good question. Thanks for asking that, Aneta. Yeah, they
Thank
do
you.
have a
But
meaning for me, just like the invocations and every word, you know, means something. Yeah, yeah. The higher self. I freely choose to believe that you're present in me and in everything around me. That has a meaning. Yeah, okay, we can all subscribe to the idea that the higher self is in me, but what about in everything around me? That's an impulse. Yeah. If my higher self is also in everything around me, okay, that must mean that my higher self is much higher than I think it is. I'm just saying, yeah, and that we are all part of higher power, basically. Yeah. Let's look at the collective energies a little bit here, real quick. Very interesting. Yeah, if we paste it against the map of calibrated levels of consciousness from Dr. Hawkins. So we see here that desire is a really strong impulse. In Mars, we haven't had that in a long time. Yet desire here on the level of 125 has to do with pleasure, has to do with the lower desire. So this relates to some of what I call the spiritual yearning, the longing, but also just plain, you know, like pleasure-seeking addictions and, you know, the sort of egotistical or selfish, you know, fulfillment of one's own pleasures. At the same time, we have a fear. So this, you know, is an interesting sort of energy uh, uh, barometer because it shows us how some of these things relate. So it is quite common from a psychological point of view that when we feel overwhelmed, when we feel you know, fear or uncertainty, that the ego first tries to distract itself from it through pleasure seeking. Yeah, so just take that as that is here when we go a little deeper and investigate, you know, the different dimensions of self, yeah, how this is experienced physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically, whereby physically is never just the body, it's always the 3D material component of our life. Then we can see here, for example, that the energies this month, they have a wide range. The strongest energy is the one that comes in with the desire, you know, the yearning, but, you know, with it also sort of as the darker aspect or the shadow side of it, the escaping. Yeah, the fear comes as a fake fear, as, you know, it's not a real, it's just in our heads. Yeah, it's a mental energy. Yeah, and that is both. It has an attack element to it. That attack element comes in because It's produced, it's projected. Okay, so in the microscopic way, you could imagine that as somebody projecting their fear onto you. Yeah. Jealousy, for example, is very common these days. Here plays directly into this um energy level here. Yeah, where, my fear of, say, you betraying me, okay, feels like an attack onto you. And that's that would be like on a relationship level, on a smaller level. But if you look at it from a microscopic level, um, the fear that has been induced into us, into the collective, through media, through the powers to be, is also fundamentally an attack. It's an intrusion, yeah, of our sort of etheric field. I just want to let you guys know here with this deeper explanation that this is the quality of energies that is coming in. Now, at the same time, and this is something that comes in almost like an antidote, we also feel, the impulse for compassion and the willingness to understand one another more. Yeah, that is a beautiful momentum. It's quite strong. Yeah, because it allows us to, engage in conversations around peace, or, harmonizing and solutions. Yeah. Sort of energetically, we're still, sort of in that process of solidifying our sense of self, yeah, and with it also the better understanding of ourselves, yeah, the experience of self that allows us to reconcile, yeah, forgive ourselves for things and things like that. So this is a greater process that we're all engaged in, and that goes together here with sort of the need, or the task to find karmic resolutions, yeah, to identify our patterns, understand where they're coming from, and to move beyond them. Yeah, to recognize, okay, this is because I come from this tribe or this collective, or from, I'm this gender, or if I'm come from this ethnic group or whatever, and I'm dealing with a certain setup, with a certain, karmic propensity, and this is how it has influenced the way I see myself. And now that I can see this more clearly or more consciously, I can come up with solutions. I can come up with practical strategies, yeah, that help me to translate that into the 3D. Yeah, so karmic resolutions on the 3D level always bring in, sort of a developmental, or what we perceive as progress. We get to finish a task, or we get to, overcome something that has influenced our life, like, say, issues with money, or issues with, yeah, jealousy, or issues with codependency. Yeah, those would be, those could be examples of how our um, more conscious way of experiencing ourselves and understanding ourselves can help us to resolve long-standing karmic patterns, yeah, things that weren't previously aware to us. Here on the personal resonances, which is sort of more the internalized version, yeah, the subjective experience of that within ourselves, and the energy centers involved in this, and how it also may play out, in our body. Yeah, so energy centers are spiritual organs, and they are there to metabolize these spiritual energies, but they also, at least, these 7 physical chakras, there's more chakras, the ones that are contained in our aura, if you will, in our, field, the subtle field, morphogenetic field around our body that carries our consciousness chakras. But this one here, this infographic shows, sort of on what levels of energetic metabolism, yeah, the energies of the month work. You see, the fatter arrows are the energy centers that are most effective or most um, active. Second chakra, first chakra, fourth chakra. Um, and then usually the way I order them is kind of also showing sort of how they influence another. So there's here on our first chakra level, yeah, on the level of, our basic needs, belonging, and so forth. Something that needs to happen, this has to do with transcending these karmic dispositions. You have to understand our tribal components and learn to overcome them. Yeah. So just because I am born in this country or you have a passport from that country or whatever, okay, on from a spiritual perspective, that should not affect us. Yeah, we need to transcend these things if we want to resolve things within, our sort of developing or evolving levels of consciousness. Yeah, so tribal aspects are part of all our subconscious, but they are there, basically just to set the stage. That's just sort of the propensity that we kind of like, when you have a theater play and you do casting and they all get props and costumes and stuff. That's all that is. It's not really the true self, yeah, that has to, sort of learn to let go of all these things. With it, also the patriarchal aspects of our societies that are now coming forward in their shadow side. This, of obviously, we've been dealing with this for a long time, the toxic masculinity and stuff like this. But there's also the other extreme, and that is where, when masculinity is negated, yeah, where everything that's masculine is bad. That's obviously not the case. That's not true. Okay, so we're going to have to learn to redefine that a little more in our societies, and that starts within ourselves. Here on the second chakra level, the orange arrow shows us, how these energies work on our sacral chakra here, with the desire to escape pain, to seek love. And when I say love, I mean the lower aspect of love. It's more sort of this longing for love. It feels needy almost, yeah. And the fear of, facing some of our own shadow aspects that have to do with our relationships. Yeah? So if we can overcome that here in the next 6 weeks, yeah, then we don't really need to worry about it. Unfortunately, though, there's a lot of people, majority of people, I would say, that is not as conscious as you are, and so we also gonna have to observe the dark side of that, namely domestic violence and a lot of aggression, a lot of these kind of incidences, yeah, where people just losing it and taking it out on one another. As for our sense of self, that is now solidifying a little more. Yeah, so good job, guys. Yeah, the work in January, February was all about that, to move into more truth with ourselves, becoming more real, becoming more authentic. So it's no longer in the foreground, yeah, but it can come forward as issues around self-worth, and value, yeah, especially when we go through a transformation of how we're seeing ourselves and how we want to, present our new self. So there can be a little bit of an issue here where, like a wobble, where you feel like, oh, like a test, maybe I should go back to my old ways because, that made me more money, or, people respected me more, or something like that. So whenever we go out of our comfort zone, this is also when, we have to face resistance on the outside. And that helps us then to further solidify things. But it is the growth that takes place outside of our comfort zone. Yeah, overall, really nice actually in March. Yeah, so regardless of all the stuff that might come down here in our collective, there is really a beautiful influx here of compassion for others, the willingness to understand others. Really beautiful. Yeah, higher self communication on our fifth chakra level. The first 2 months of the year, it was more about expression and words and that kind of communication. It is now moving into the more introspective, the more internalized way of communicating. Yeah, here, higher self, asking our higher self, setting the intention on wanting to get guidance from our higher self. That's more of an internal communication, but we all know that our internal communication is also what express on the outside. So it clearly goes hand in hand, and we still need to be careful not to use too harsh words and not to be, too strict and judgmental in our expressions, whether it be with ourselves or others, because that, it always goes hand in hand. On our sixth chakra level, it's a lot easier for us now to make or let's say to see what our needs are, what our true wants are. Yeah, so this is paving the way to us tuning into our true heart's desire. It's not quite there yet in March, but there's more clarity about this, at least for some of you, in regard to what you're not. Yeah. So this is always a good start when we can state what we're not anymore, what we no longer want to be, or what we can identify as a false self or a role that we're playing. Yeah, the second biggest arrow here that you see is the purple one. So on the level of our crown chakras, our seventh chakra, the understanding of the bigger spiritual picture. This goes along with spiritual education that is needed now for us to navigate the world, yeah, in the future. We need spiritual education. This is no longer just a little cute hobby, okay? This is needed. It's instrumental. You cannot make sense of what is happening in the world without it. And that's the reason why so many people are so lost right now. And why, people like yourselves who have been interested in spirituality, who have been studying, regardless of the confusion that is there, and all the spiritual traps and all that we had to go through, there is a better understanding, a better grasp on what these forces are that are working here, and how they're working through us. Yeah, and this is now shifting into the next level. Yeah, it's getting into the place where you need a spiritual framework for this. You need to be able to name things. You need to be able to identify them. Yeah, so here at transCODES, we're going to work a lot with this moving forward. We're doing this anyway, but I'm going to lead you now more into the nitty-gritty of these esoteric concepts so that you don't just have to take my word, but that you can start studying these things independently. Yeah, so where we're at right now here on the 24th, yeah, with these full moon energies that we could so beautifully observe. New priorities, guys. This is so pivotal because, when that occurs, yeah, so this full moon is very powerful. What it does is like it really shifts your perspective. it really shows you new things. It's yeah, and when the full moon is so beautiful like this one, it really shines light on some of the hidden stuff. So we have to deal with these continued revelations and also our own shadow aspects becoming more visible for us. That's part of spiritual growth. Okay. And there is only, one way to the light, and that is through the dark. Okay. You have to work with the integration of the parts of yourself that you don't love yet. That is spiritual growth. Okay. So collectively, that isn't really going that well, for say for our societies, because, there's like, really big shifts that are coming now, and we'll see this here, yeah, fiery, um, explosive shift coming up. Okay, coming up this week. Yeah, critical, pivotal reveals. Okay, so I'm talking about media and how we're sort of slowly catching up on things. Yeah, not just conspiracy theories, but some of these are actually proven to be true. And not all of them are, but these reveals always come with a little bit of a shock, even if we've always kind of felt it. So get things done, guys. If you are afraid of, doom and gloom and stuff like that, or the big outage or whatever, okay, then do what you need to do to feel safe, okay? Get some food, or whatever, dog food, for a month or two, and have a little bit of cash on you and stuff so that you can let it go. Don't buy into this fake fear, this perpetual, state of, looking out for the next pandemic or looking out for the next power or internet outage or whatever. This is opening the doors for dark energies to, work through you. Yeah. Get a grip on your fear. Do what you must do to feel safe, and then let it go. Stay calm, and breathe through things, because when you can do that, you will come up with much better, choices that are much more conducive for you, as opposed to just reacting. Yeah, if you're reacting, you're always in your ego, always. Yeah, and most of you have already beautifully aligned yourselves to, you know, your truer self, yeah, your higher consciousness, and you can't do this. You can't embody your higher self if you're reacting. Yeah. So then, coming in here with those March energies are sort of new themes. So one of the new themes is sort of in a conflict, an inner and outer conflict between security versus growth. So on one hand, we want to grow and we want to feel progression, and we want to see, something like, I don't want to call it success, but something like, maybe fruits of our labor, and this is going to come. Okay, so March is a great month for expansion, for growth, and even for fortune. But we also feel at the same time the need to stay grounded and to keep things real, to keep things, you know, I don't want to necessarily say comfort zone, but to keep them so that, just like how I said just right now, if you're afraid of certain things happening, then do what needs to be done, and get it over with. Okay, yeah, take precautions and have, a little bit of a buffer there, but then you got to let it go. So it's both needed for us to harmonize with our world, to harmonize with, what is going on. On the more internal side of how March develops, the themes that display themselves here are, the self-healing. So it's a very good month for self-healing, but it's got to be more active. It's got, this is also where the spiritual education comes in. You got to choose this. You got to say, okay, I really want to know. And, I don't just want to assume, and I don't just want to blindly, believe everything other people say. I really want to understand, karma. I want to investigate, like life after death and all these sort of big questions, who am I? Where am I from? Where am I going? That's a good month for that. But, with the new moon energies, there's also a lot of, sort of instability, uncertainty there, and this can lead to erratic um, decisions, lots of narratives, like stories that were being told, okay, and they change every day, and it's really, really confusing for people if they don't have this sort of solid big picture understanding. Yeah, so be patient here, have compassion. This isn't easy for the majority of people. Yeah, if you just wake up, to say the deeper quality, the deeper aspects of truth in our societies, okay, and just now realize how toxic everything has become, and how our spiritual growth, as well as our love and our relationships and families and health and environment and so forth is um, you know toxic nowadays, and not really supportive, uh, you know, to our goals and where we want to go. That it's hard. It's a harsh awakening. Yeah. So this is where the spiritual component comes in. If you see yourself and the world as from this sort of material 3D perspective only, okay, you cannot make sense of anything, and all you're going to end up, being able to do is run around like a chicken with a cut off head, because you're just reacting. You can't afford that. Yeah. So with the equinox on the 20th, we get some um, harmonizing energies in, balancing energies, and this willingness to understand others and opening ourselves for new quality in our relationships, maybe even entirely new relationships, or a new level, yeah, of, connectedness with our existing relationships. Yeah. So that's a beautiful impulse there, toward the end of the month. And even the full moon, which is also a lunar eclipse, uh, opening up, or beginning the eclipse season here this year, is actually, at first, I tend to look at full moon always as like sort of clearing and purging time, but it's a breakthrough. It's actually a positive momentum. So even if it sometimes comes with having to step out of our comfort zone, yeah, it's still, an energy here that really feels like a new beginning. Yeah, and then continuing on, including our relationships to at the end of the month. And so yeah, there are some nice energies coming in. That said, it's still going to be very fast paced. It's still going to be, a bit erratic at times. Okay, so when I say nice energies, I'm just commenting on the energetic quality of them, and the potential that they bring in. Yeah, so how we are able to translate that into our personal lives depends on our level of consciousness and our ability to self-correct and self-heal. Yeah, so here are a few tips for you, a few self-healing tips for March. Reduce electrification and mechanization of your life. Yeah, anything that is not necessary. Yeah, you can turn off your Wi-Fi at night. You don't need, all the Wi-Fi controlled home things and so forth. Yeah, they add too much of this, you know, of this decaying energy into your life. Okay, so my suggestion is, and you know this about me, I love technology. You know that's where I'm from, and I have no problem with progress and you know, and can even be a little nerdy about it. But if it's not necessary, avoid it. You should only really allow those things into your life that help you, you know, that support you. Yeah. So whether it's light or gas or, you know, whatever forms of energy that you are um, you know, sort of inviting into your life, make sure that, you know, they're not out of balance and that they support you. Yeah. Um, learn how to or know how to calm yourself, especially if you have a tendency to be anxious, because these energies, regardless of, you know, the potential that they have, they can be quite upsetting or unsettling because you know they go so fast, yeah, that you can just be pulled into the intensity of it. So know how to calm down, take breaks, take naps, sleep well. Sleep is extremely important in March, yeah. So uh, uh, make sure that you can get a sort of a handle on your nervous system, you know, by meditating, by doing physical exercise, mostly just for energy regulation, for energy management. Yeah, and understand that, of course, your food and all that also plays into, you know, how your nervous system handles things. Understand the force working through you. This is something that has to do with your higher self. Ask your higher self, is this, you know, something that is healthy for me, that is conducive for me? Or is there something that pulls me into my lower self, into my shadow self? Yeah. It's one thing to face your shadow and work through it. There's another thing to energize it. Okay. And sometimes you don't know which does which. So you have to really work with your higher self here to feel it more, to get a good sort of reference feeling, to build your own inner lexicon of sensations, yeah, of what is, you know, what is conducive for you, what works for you and what works against you. Also, sort of where you're inviting things in often unnecessarily. Yeah, like one example would be buying into other people's dramas, or you know, involving your things in things that you don't really want to do, or saying yes when you mean no. All these things open the doors for, you know, say dark forces, or you know, just sort of lower energies, you know, to work through you. Practice shifting your energy when triggered. This is like martial arts, guys. This is spiritual martial arts. You have to learn, you know, how to shift your energy out of certain places. Yeah, you don't have to learn etheric navigation techniques necessarily, but you know, you got to learn to take charge of your own energy. And that said, you know, we also need to understand, you know, that other people have their own cross to carry. You know, they have their own issues with self-regulation. Understand how they work, how their energies work, especially if you live with them, you know, your loved ones and your family. You know, and be willing to understand others. That is a very good way to open your heart and to work with your higher conscious in March. And well, ask your higher self for new ideas. Set out with the intention, you know, to commune with your higher self, either in prayer or invocation or meditation or contemplation. Create little rituals that you have in the morning and maybe midday and in the evening, you know, to check in with your higher self, to remind yourself that you're a soul with a body and not a body with a soul. Here, for those of you who want to do this systematically, okay, you can ask me for this, sort of self-reflection form here where you just sort of check in with yourself and maybe journal, like what is your level of wellness so that you can better keep track of it and form this inner lexicon more consciously. Physically here for the month of March, I would say that probably the most way people will feel these energies is in their digestive systems. Okay, they're going to be a little out of whack. This has to do with our nervous systems because a lot of that, that fake fear, that sort of manufactured anxiety, and um, also some of the electrification, yeah, all the radiation that we keep adding into our life, okay, that it just constantly triggers our nervous system. So our digestive system is very sensitive to this, guys. Pay attention to it. Make sure that you get lots of sleep and, engage in spring cleaning, yeah, some kind of detox clearing on the inside and on the outside. Yeah, that's a very good month for that. And therefore, like take this, really as a sort of a self-healing tip. Yeah, if you feel stagnant, if you feel stuck, if you feel lost, if you feel confused, then dedicate a weekend to just clearing out the old junk, and maybe doing sort of a light fast, 2, 3 days, just liquids, just fruit juices, and lots of water, to flush things out. You will feel better. You will feel yourself better. Here, just real quick preview of all the energy events here at transCODES in March 24. The energy alignment, higher self will be available in a few days at the beginning of February. We will have a marathon called Balancing Masculine and Feminine Energies here in the last week of February, and then move on to talk about electrification a little bit more. Yeah, these two sort of opposing chemical processes that are going on within ourselves. Yeah, then we're going to continue talking about spiritual awakening and the issues with that. And as those of you who are part of the Heart Warrior program or Energy Training Club, we're going to work with codependency healing, a very beautiful process on helping us to understand, what is underneath codependency and this sort of self-sacrificial love, yeah, is a self-love deficiency, really. In the Grace Training Club, we're going to work with Grace Redemption this month. Personally, my most favorite soul self-initiation process, yeah, where we learn what it means to absolve ourselves. And then further here on the last days of the last days of March, heading into Easter. I have a special this month. Instead of a 3-day marathon, I want to do an intense marathon day with Heart Warriors Training Club members and anyone who wants to sign up for this 4-session intensive on one day etheric reconciliation. So for those of you who are aware of the karmic aspects and the people involved or the energies involved, it's a beautiful way to relieve yourself, of these energetic ties and binds right before we enter into this beautiful Easter energy. Yeah, and just real quick for the month of March, a special with extra 37% off. Here is the coupon code for this Easter 24, and that applies to the Grace Soul Self Experience, your personal sessions, that you schedule 48 sessions, guys, a whole year of spiritual soul self spiritual self discovery with me. And then we have in April our next 6-week class energy course, and then later in June the love integrity course, where we apply all these spiritual insights through our relationships, spiritual relationships. Now, I want to close here for the forecast. Yeah, once more, thank you so much, and enjoy the energy alignment for March called Higher Self.
Higher Self. I am a soul with a body, having a physical experience of my higher self, which is the greatest potential of who I am. I am on a journey learning how to unify the spiritual and physical reality of my true divine nature, and to remember the sovereign soul self that I am. My true home is in the connection with the divine, my true self, and other true selves. When I am lost, confused, or stuck, I am experiencing the pain of not trusting in the love my higher self has for me. Through consciously focusing on the present moment and allowing myself to feel, see, and perceive my reality as a higher self, I can liberate myself from the fear or pain of this physical existence. Higher self, I freely choose to believe that you are present in me and everything around me. I love you above all things and desire to receive you into my heart and sacred self-awareness. I embrace and sanctify my sacred journey as if you are always there, even if I cannot feel you temporarily, and unite myself wholly with you. I forgive myself unconditionally for separating from you. And thus dedicate this most blessed conscious moment to the love for the divine, expressing through me as you. I am. Allow me to grow beyond what my ego cannot see, and guide me to be open to approaching my journey with the consciousness of my united heart and mind. Now, I can rest in my heart, because all there is left to do is to create my life in the light of love and truth. Thank you.